Okay, do you hear any similarities? It's not, the notes aren't similar, the overall gesture, and the fact also that in this piece you get, then you get this. Kind of like Donna Elvira singing after the orchestra, and then the orchestra comes back in. My teacher, Edmund Basby, always talked about this type of gesture and the concept of like pleading and resisting. So it's like you got this force of fate right here. So it's like, no, you gotta do this, and then, oh, but I don't want to. Then, no, no, no. But really, I don't want to. See, it's kind of, you have this, that's how the dramatic tension is created in this piece. So then, let's move a little bit forward. Alright, so right here. Kind of like a bassoon, maybe. Maybe if you were going to orchestrate it. And then these. Maybe two end instruments doing suspensions, but very, doesn't really sound like a piano, like I was saying. Good. Going forward, then we get this cadence, this nice cadence, and then we get this gesture again. So I realized I didn't specify why this doesn't really work. Well, because if we go back to the pleading and resisting idea, then, you know, you're kind of weakening your argument there. And this one's going to win, definitely. You're giving away the tension, because the tension goes to here. And then it's more contrast, more shocking, if you change that abruptly as opposed to doing. You're giving away the secret. Keep the secret until you get through. Alright, now we get this sort of decorated key change thing, which moves us into a transition theme. Very operatic. So you see, you probably can't see this close, but in my music, I think it was Edward Auer who wrote "No slur there." So, no, see, there's no slur, and I agree with that. I think a lot of people have a habit of doing that, and also people have a habit of, what am I doing here? Just holding that note down. And we often forget that in Mozart's time, it was the note value that was written, you weren't supposed to hold it that entire length. You were only supposed to hold it a portion of that length. And if there was like a slur written, or a stenuto or legato, then that meant to hold it the full length. But if there was nothing written like that, you were supposed to get off of it, which people often forget about. So let's go on. We talked about this soprano and bass duet here before. Maybe Leporello, well, not Leporello, because Leporello is not a soprano. Zerlina and Don Giovanni. I'm not saying to necessarily go through the whole piece and make characters and scenes for it. If that helps you, you're welcome to. But I'm saying to think operatically. So you don't have to say that it's Zerlina or Don Giovanni. But if it helps you, then go for it. But do definitely listen to those operas, because without that, you really can't play Mozart. You can play Mozart, you can get the notes, but it's very difficult to express what you want to express without knowledge of the operas. You really need to listen to Don Giovanni, Così fan tutte, Magic Figaro, which we'll talk a little bit more about later, and the Magic Flute, at least. Remember, keep the energy up. Then the one section, which brings us to the key change that will keep us in C minor, happens right here, and it happens contrapuntally. So you want to make sure to bring out those entrances. That's measure 118 right there, and you want to make sure to bring out those contrapuntal entrances. You also want to make sure to not play them like this, because then you put yourself back at the exposition, which is a pretty easy trap to fall into in any sonata. Especially easy here, just because it's exactly the same, except this one is first one, second one. So just be careful. They're closely related there. Now going forward, we have our same soprano bass duet that we had in the beginning, this time 131 in the minor. So we get that again. We want to make it lyrical, make it singing. Again, if the characters that we had before help, definitely use that. Then we have a lot of the same material that we had from before, because this is the recap. Just in the minor key, of course. And then we have this, the arpeggiated passage is slightly more extended this time around. That's measure 149. So you want to make sure to practice this arpeggio passage a little bit more, just so you don't get kind of lost in it. The way I like to practice, all of these triplets in this sonata is, so I'm accenting the first one with a little bit of weight and with some time, and then I do the second one, then I do the third one. I found that really helps me to get it in my hands slightly quicker and to just get more familiar with it. Measure 60, we have that same trill passage. However, practice it like that, and it will work better. Then we have a little coda right here, around measure 168. So what did I do at measure 174? I placed again. I took a little bit of time. Let me come into that a little bit. I didn't do this. See, it's just a subtle difference, but my teacher Edmund Battersby used to say about these little phrasing things, he would say that if you do them correctly, the people who don't know what they are in the audience won't know, but they'll like it and they'll think it was great. If you do it correctly, and the people in the audience who do know about it will like it and they'll know what's going on. So either way, even if the people don't know that you're supposed to be placing notes or taking time in a certain place, and you do it, people will know and appreciate it in some form. So don't just think, oh, no one's going to even hear that anyway. Because they will. They will definitely hear it. Now we get the final closing idea, measure 176. So with this, you want to make sure to really lean on those fortes. You don't want to do, that's too much. This forte is more of just a lean, and it kind of makes it a little unsettling, meaning you don't know where the downbeat is, because this is on the fourth beat. So it kind of feels like that could be a downbeat, but it just creates this rhythmic ambiguity. But if you just kind of hammer it out, then it doesn't really create any ambiguity except what's going on and why you're doing it that way. But so just try to lean. Good. Now be careful of that last chord. I myself have been guilty of doing. See, I missed one of the notes there. It's very difficult to practice that and to get them all voiced the way you want to. Just take the time to go through any piece you're working on and really make sure you're listening to every note and you can hear every note the way you want it to sound.